the Israelites went up to Bethel and inquired of God. They said, "Who of us shall go first to fight against the Benjamites?" The Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." Judges 20 and verse 18, hearing the voice of God. Look here. Many people, we are in battle of life. You are fighting demons. You are fighting enemies. You are fighting Satan. Your life is all about warfare. But many other times, you don't know the procedure. You don't know the strategy. Here we see the Israelites, the 11 tribes of Israel. They are going against their own brother Benjamin, who through Gilead, a tribe or a clan, they had committed evil of raping the wife of a pastor until she died. So they were purging that sin because the Benjamites refused to surrender the offenders or the wrongdoers so that they could be removed from the system. So they didn't know how to fight this battle. But the Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." Let me tell you something. Why do you need to hear God speaking? Because you will know the strategy you are to use in that battle. I've told you again and again, the Lord has no issue in defeating the enemy for you. But if you do not use the procedure that He has laid down, you will find yourself in the battlefield, and the enemy will devastate you. If you look here, the Lord said, "Judah shall go first." So what does that mean? When you hear the voice of God, you know what to do right, so that you have a chance of winning in any battle. And here it was Judah. Judah means praise. So when you are engaging into any battle, the Lord teaches you the right strategy. Can you look at again the Lord is saying in verse 23 part C, the Lord answered, "Go up against them." Why do you need to hear the voice of the Lord? The voice of the Lord sustains you in the process until you do things right. So God said, "Go first." So he told them the strategy. He told them the strategy. The strategy is praise me. Judah means praise. But they were defeated. They were defeated. And the Lord said, "Go up against them." So what is the Lord saying? He is sustaining them in the battlefield. Why do you need the voice of God to speak to you? It's because when you hear the voice of God, you cannot surrender. Even if the enemy seems to be winning, the voice of God retains you in the battlefield. You will revolutionize yourself in that battlefield until you know the right thing to do. But the voice of God will sustain you there. You do not quit the battle. Why are so many people surrendering in life warfare? In life you fight, and then you reach a point whereby you give up on that. You stop pursuing that, whatever the battle you're fighting. It's because you don't have sustaining strength in the battlefield. So go up against them. Then look at it in verse Gapi. Look at it. Also the Lord said in verse 28, part B, part C. The Lord responded, "Go, for tomorrow I will give them into your hands." Why do you need to hear the voice of God? Because when you hear the voice of God gives you clarity and assurance and guarantee of victory. Actually, the voice of God sets timelines. So number one, when you hear God speaking, one of the things that the voice will secure victory for you, will guarantee you good outcomes. So stay in the presence of the Lord until he says something, because the moment he speaks out, that is, you are actually signed check. That is actually a guarantee. It's an open check that one you are going to conquer, that one you are going to triumph. So let him speak. Even if his speaking will be for rebuking you, let him speak. His speaking is to your advantage and my advantage. And then he says, I will give them into your hands. Guaranteed victory, guaranteed triumph. The next thing he says, go. Go. Commissioning or authorization. When you hear the voice of God, it releases the energy of manifestation in you, the energy of reality in you. Why do people find themselves in life applications but they experience failure? Is because you are doing something of God without God sending you. If you look at the first time, the Lord said, Judah shall go first. But did he tell them to go? He said, this is a planning. So the one who will be at the front, the one who shall initiate the attack is Judah. But did he say go? They should have waited until the Lord tells them go. Commissioning. So the voice of God commissions you. Something else very interesting is he says, for tomorrow. The voice of God releases what we call Kairos energy, the appointed time energy. The voice of God sets timelines of how things they are going to happen in your life. So the moment you hear God saying something to you, most likely things in your life will start to observe and align with the timetable of God. Many people are already getting old very fast. That is when they are realizing they are behind the right schedule. So they are trying to catch up. That is how they end up in witchcraft. Because time is far much behind. They are late in the day. But when you hear the voice of God creates what we call Kairos energy. He has stated and has said, for tomorrow. So the Lord is exact on time. Let him speak. How did they position themselves to hear the voice of God? There are several ways here. Number one is inquire of God. So if you want to hear the voice of God, number one, inquire of God. Then number two, if you look at it in verse 23, the Israelites went up and wept before the Lord until evening, and they inquired of the. Number two is weep before the Lord. So number one, inquire before the Lord. Number two, weep before the Lord. Okay, what about number three? You see it in verse 26. They went to Bethel. The next thing is go to Bethel. Go to the house of God. Number four, and there they sat weeping before the Lord. We've already seen that. Number four, they fasted that day, fasting. And then number five, and until evening, and they presented burnt offering. Present before the Lord burnt offering. And then they presented fellowship offering to the Lord. Okay. Number seven, and Israel inquired of the Lord. We have already seen that. And in those days, the ark of the covenant of God was with them. Then the ark of the covenant of God. And number eight, and with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, ministered before it. Number eight is Please